So I grew up always with music. I very much love a lot of Western music, but what I learned in Indian music has made it possible for me to live in the West and play in many different kinds of genre of music. I play with a lot of very well-known American pop. Paul Simon, among records with Paul Simon, and it's because people hear the sound of the bansuri, and and they really like to use that kind of feeling, that kind of sound. Beautiful Indian music, you take beautiful something from the West, and sometimes you get some kitchery that needs something. It's just not as good, so why bother? And many times I've tried so hard, and I felt that the result is just less than perfect. But other times, there's a beautiful blending where, in my case, it's a Western form really can use something Indian. American musician named Paul Winter, saxophone player, and he is very well known as a musician who plays music that arouses interest in ecology, nature, and animals. People in Japan at Miho, which is a fabulous museum of Asian art, engaged us to go to Japan and play music that reflected all of the art. So I got to play with Dhruva Ghosh, wonderful sarangi player from Mumbai. And we were in a room that was housing a Buddha, standing Buddha from Gandharva, Afghanistan era. Fantastic sculpture. And we got to record in that room, and that's what came on the Grammy. That was a documentary on the children of prostitutes in Calcutta, and I played all the flute in that, and we got an Oscar for that. I came to India in 1969. I traveled overland, and I was definitely drawn to the music. I was playing jazz, I was playing Western jazz, and I was playing saxophone. And there was you could say, a gharana of the jazz saxophone players, African American, that were influenced by Bismillah Khan Saab. And they were developing something coming from Chennai on the saxophone, and that's what got me interested to go to India to learn something of this music. So I started with Chennai, but I quickly found bansuri, and I was, in India, things happen at the right time in the right place. I was in Benares, and my first teacher was Chetilal Srivastava. He was teaching at Benares Hindu University, and he gave me some initial instruction on bansuri. But it's just a complete accident. It was getting hot, Benares, and I have a connection with Tibetan Buddhism. And one friend said, come with us to Darjeeling, and we'll stay with Tibetans during the hot season. So that's how I got to Calcutta. But I went to Calcutta, and I asked if there was someone playing bansuri in Calcutta, and I was taken to Sri Gorn, disciple of Panlal Ghosh, and I heard him play, and I was in love. It was very typical Indian situation. They introduced me. He said, "Kam said, he said, who did you learn from?" And I told him the name, and he said, "No one special." He said, "Let me see your flute." He said, "Not pretty good." But he took out his flute and he started playing, and I heard something so genuine and so pure, and I kept going back. And he liked me, he was very good to me. And because I had some technique, because of my Western playing, and I had the ear to follow, he would start to play and I would just follow him. And at a certain point, it would get too busy, I would stop and just listen. But I stayed with him for about a year only. And then I had to go back to the West. And I came back in 1974 and had a few months with him. And then very suddenly he expired. In the 90s, I met Pandit Raghunath Seth in Mumbai. And he also came from that Gaikian. So I had very good talent from him for a long time. It was over a period of about 10 years, and then he began to take sick, and it was difficult after that. But many things I don't know. There's too many things I don't know. But what I've learned, I love, and I work on that. Ecstasy in Indian music can come with one note. You put the tambura on and you play one note in just the right place, and you feel like you don't really need to do anything else. It's complete. It's complete, And that I get that experience from music. I mean, sometimes I have to sit and struggle. It's like a meditation. Sometimes I'm distracted, but when that happens, it's the way when I teach, I talk about when the mind and body are synchronized in complete harmony. It's a feeling that time and space are just one. It's something that for years I've been thinking about, but I think now that I'm a little older, I'm beginning to trust it, that I'm not Indian. I'm playing this music, but I'm not Indian. And the most important thing about really good music in any culture, I think, is that it's authentic, that it comes truly from your heart. So for me, what I play doesn't only come from what I've learned from India, it comes from my whole background in music. So there are elements of jazz, there are elements of Western composition that affect the way I play. And for a long time I thought I should just, work with Guru and do it exactly like that. But to be honest and really truthful, that's not me. So I'm trying as much as possible to just play from my heart. I play what I play.